Indian Air Force is one of the largest and most advanced in the world. Our Air Force is armed with superior aircrafts and helicopters, which include most modern fighter jets, AWACS aircrafts, and large transport aircrafts. But Indian Air Force does not own even a single strategic bomber. India decided not to have strategic bombers despite the fact that most superpowers of the world own strategic bombers today. India has even turned down Russia's offer of strategic bombers multiple times. Let us explore the importance of strategic bombers and why it is not a part of Indian Air Force. The history of strategic bombers began with the First World War. In 1915, the Gotha aircrafts of Germany conducted air raids on Britain and caused massive destruction. Even though Germany lost the war, the world realized the significance of bomber aircrafts in aerial combat. In the years that followed, countries competed with each other to make better bomber aircrafts. As a result, the Second World War saw extensive use of bomber aircrafts. The Axis and the Allies used bomber aircraft to overpower each other. The world came to know of the true potential that the bombers possessed with the atomic bombing on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It was the last year of the war and the Allies wanted to defeat Japan, who had refused to surrender until then. The atomic bombs dropped by US B-29 aircrafts on Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed lakhs of people and almost completely destroyed the cities. Soon after, Japan surrendered unconditionally. That single move is said to have ended the war that might have lasted years longer. When the Cold War began after the end of the Second War, the role of bomber aircraft became even more important. The countries calculated that they could cripple the enemy's capacity to wage war beforehand by attacking and destroying their important military, logistical, and support facilities and assets. Today, aircrafts that have a range of 8,000 kilometers or more and carry more than 10-ton payload are called strategic bombers. America and Russia own strategic bombers that can fly to and bombard any part of the world. China too has strategic bombers they bought from Russia decades back. However, all these have become outdated now. Though India had several multi-role fighters that can be used as bombers, she has never owned a strategic bomber till now. Though Russia has offered her bombers many times, India has always declined them. There are mainly two reasons for this. The first one is that India's arch rivals, China and Pakistan, are our neighbors and thus geographically close. If any conflict arises and lead to a situation that calls for bombing, the multi-role aircrafts that India already have can easily do the job. In the Indo-Pak War of 1971, India had bombed Karachi and East Pakistan using fighter aircrafts. We know that the precision-guided bombs mounted on Mirage fighter jets were used in the recent Balakot airstrike. India's Mirage and new Rafale fighter jets can even carry nuclear warheads. Besides this, India also has ballistic missiles with a range in excess of 10,000 kilometers in her arsenal. We know that India's military policy is primarily centered around defense and not offense. However, if necessary, the missiles in our arsenal can deal punitive blows to our enemies. The second reason is that the advancement in the field of radars and other reconnaissance technologies have rendered bomber aircrafts more or less obsolete. Most countries now have the technology to detect enemy aircrafts that intrude into their airspace and the ability to shoot them down if necessary. So traditional bombers are effective only against countries that are weak in technology and military. To evade the enemy radars, the superpowers have been developing stealth bombers. US B-2 Spirit is the only operational stealth bomber. Besides this, the US is also developing its next generation stealth bomber, B-21. Russia and China are building their own stealth bombers. These stealth bombers are all expected to be operational by 2025. Even though all our major cities might be within the range of this new Chinese stealth bomber, the soon-to-be deployed S-400 missiles should counter them. It was also rumored that India was considering the acquisition of Tupolev 160 strategic bombers from Russia in order to counter the Chinese threat. But in the end, India decided not to buy these outdated aircrafts. On the other hand, stealth bombers are expensive and buying them will put enormous financial burden on India. For example, the cost of B-2 Spirit aircraft is approximately $1 billion. Also, we cannot expect that US will ever be willing to sell these stealth bombers to India. These are neither affordable nor suitable for India under current circumstances. This is why our government and military leadership decided not to buy bomber aircrafts. India will never desire a war. But if adversaries threaten the peace and sovereignty of our nation, our forces are ever ready and fully equipped not only to defend but also to retaliate. Jai Hind.